the Big Picture Manatee. And to all of our listeners, thank you for all of your questions and everything from your future topics that you've asked for. And, we like to dive into subjects that impact you right here in Manatee County. And so today I'm Sherry Corrier, a private business owner here in Manatee County and former Manatee County government administrator with my friends and colleagues here.
Hey everybody, I'm Misty Servia, former county commissioner and also a consultant and private business owner in Manatee County.
And hello everyone, my name is Reggie Bellamy, former county commissioner of District 2. And obviously I work in the community through youth agencies and doing what I can do to impact lives. Welcome everyone.
Thanks. Welcome to the Big Picture Manatee episode. I think Misty wants to tell us a little bit about what's happening with the budget right now and the process for the public. And Reggie wants to jump in too, because they've been through this process numerous times for the county budget and are probably a couple of experts on what to expect.
Well, isn't that very gracious of Sherry, who's been through the budget season, I think, countless times. I've been through 4. Thank you, Sherry. And yeah, I think it's a great idea that we start off and say, hey, this is what's going to happen in the month of June, which is the beginning of the budget season. And now on the county website, you can find those June dates are already on their website. So Wednesday, June the 12th is the first budget work session, and they're going to go over the total county budget presentation and the different department decision unit reviews. Then on the 17th of June, another work session where you'll see the constitutional officers. And then on June the 18th, a budget work session on the capital improvement plan, followed by Thursday, June 19th. They'll go over the fund summary and the utilities. So, Sherry, what else?
Well, I think as you read through that list, that's definitely the formal list that everybody should be watching for. Some of those terms, you may or may not know what those mean, but, how did we get to this process? Every year, the departments start their budget review all the way back into the prior fall. So back in November or so, they're really looking at their current budget that was just passed. They're putting their budget items together, is there more demand for one thing, less for another? What's happening? They submit that to the very capable financial management department, who starts to put all of that, pen to paper, looking at what monies are available. Recently we added a work session with the commissioners so that there could be sort of an early viewing of what was about to happen and get some more instruction there. And then eventually it ends up with the county administrator, and that person brings the budget to the board, and on that first date Misty mentioned in June. So it's a long process. It kind of goes on all year, but really the budget for the public focus starts in June and ends when, Reggie? Oh, Misty might know too.
Oh, well, I was just going to say it's one of the most, if not the most important thing that we did as county commissioners. I'm sure Reggie will agree with that. And Reggie, I got to ask you, what was your favorite part of the whole budget process? Mine was the capital improvements program.
Right. So a couple things when we're talking about budget, and it was always a learning process for me. And unfortunately, I can't allow myself to be called an expert on on the budget, because I relied on staff a lot with going through the budget. It somewhat was concerning to me initially, but obviously in anything you do, you get a little bit better with it. When I'm asked what was my most important part, or what I like the most, I like the impact, as far as identifying, to be able to see things, to be able to get that was able to get done in District 2, which relates back to the capital improvement plan. And that was very, very important, having the ability to get some things done with roads. And obviously, one of the greatest things I think could happen in District 2 is the aquatic center. So if you will ask me what my most important part about the budget, it would be the capital improvement, because I was in a district that, in my opinion, was neglected for some time, but we found a way to get some things done with some great support and thanks to people like Misty and Sherry and some of the other former commissioners. Capital improvement plan is mine.
It's always the hardest thing to do too, right? For our staff, the capital improvement plans like that big wish list, but then it has to come to fruition at some point, and juggling all those different revenue sources is so important, and we rely so much on the data and the statistics. And then, the other thing that always is so important that you guys, we used to talk about and probably still should, is, once you build it, how do you maintain it? How do you staff it? And that is an ongoing expense. So you got to look for those reoccurring expenses. So that was always one.
Yes, you taught me that. I'll never forget that. That's like the most important part. You can build it, but then what are you going to do?
Right.
Right. Can I just speak on that for a minute? Because currently, right now, we went through the momentum of building the aquatic center. In our county, the state of Florida, and the country, we have lifeguard issues. And here we go, right? Through all week, we finally have what we want to serve the impact the community, but how are you going to staff it? Where's that money going to come from? And I remember looking in the county administrator's eyes, which was Sherry at that time. It's like, hey, we're gonna have to be able to pay for staff, and that was just like a gut check on the reality of trying to do something great. And you're gonna need greater people around you in order for you to pull it off with greater minds. So I'm always saying thank you for that. But how are you going to staff it? How are you going to pay for it? That's always an important conversation as we look forward to it in the budget.
Yeah, for sure. Right. So what happens now, Reggie?
Well, it's a long process. And for me to educate everyone on everything would definitely be a challenge. The steps as far as, how the information is brought back to the commissioners, and they go over the different sources, and then the opportunity to go back and review, ask staff questions, kind of bring your mindset to it. How you're going to, from a commissioner standpoint, how you're going to make sure you get what you want for your district. That's what I recall. Some of the steps. But as we reflect, you have to go through the budget reconciliation approval. And, that's a step based on the things that take place in June and through August and early September. Obviously there are different opportunities. So the work sessions or the workshops can come back around. And, one thing that I was always curious of, or, why did things take place? I wasn't curious, but, the public comes in and give their thoughts and their question. And, right at the early September, mid-September area, when the public comes in, and hopefully we're winding it down. So, there'll be some work sessions, there'll be some communications, and, like Misty stated, the constitutionals will come in, the departments will go. But, one of the things that we want the public to pay real close attention to is, those different funds and the reserves. I don't know, do we still have reserves? And I think some of that is, things that the public needs to look at and kind of, pay close attention to. So we got a lot that we want to, bring out and make sure that we get a clear understanding so we can educate and inform. But the process itself is going to be it's going to be challenging, but we're here for the long haul so we can make sure we can educate and inform.
Right. And that process, to me, is so efficient. And I always loved going through the process, because you start out, with this big question about this is how much money we spend or we have, how are we going to spend it? And as you go through those steps that are so well put together, at the end, you go back and you look at all the items you flagged, which each commissioner could say, hey, I want to take another look at that particular item or that particular, decision unit, because we may have to include that, or we may have to remove it, whatever the case was. So we brought all those flagged units together and discussed them as a board, and you're just refining and refining and refining. And then at the end, with the public's input, hopefully, you have this budget that is balanced and that everyone has agreed with, or at least the board has agreed with. So yeah, I always love the process. And I would encourage people to reach out to their commissioner, their district commissioner, their at-large commissioners, or the whole board, and tell them what you feel your neighborhood needs or what you feel our community needs, because there aren't enough people that are out there asking those questions about this amount of money, and this is your money. And so we need to have it spent in the way that the community wants it spent. So please try and get involved and take a look at the budget.
And if I may, one of the things that I'm kind of thinking about, and Misty, I don't know where you are with this, is, I still ride around and look at some of the projects that were put in the budget when we were county commissioners, and they're still moving forward. If you ride on 70, you see John Marble, and it's turning the corner, right? I have the ability to ride around the Memphis area and see the sidewalks and see the lighting. And from what I understand, in the resurfacing, in the Memphis, road project is still supposed to take place, because yes, I'm thankful that I reached out to District 2's county commissioner and the other people, and they're still supporting to move that project. But another thing I'm excited about at the Aquatic Center, one of the things that was put in the budget, we have a press box that's coming up at the Aquatic Center to support the football and the soccer field. And I think as we move forward, the community needs to understand, once everything's in the budget, and if it's approved through the budget, it's still a process to it. It's still a process, and I'm excited that the process is still moving forward for some of the things that took place when I was a county commissioner.
Yeah, there is a process, and I think that part of our just to let the folks that watch the Big Picture Manchi know too, is there are other little not so exciting portions of the budget, like debt service responsibility, and how the fund summary comes out to, you can only spend this certain kind of money on certain things when there's a bunch over there and not enough where you need it to be. And so that's the struggle of the administration and the commission to try to balance that out. And it's hard for the public to understand if you have what looks to be a surplus, but might need to be there for, hey, think about this. There's been a prediction that it's a heavy hurricane season, right? And we know that when you guys were there, we had a couple really bad times where we had to outlay a lot of cash in order to get our economic situation back up to running and to support our citizens so they didn't have to wait like other communities had to wait. So all those things go into the thought process of the budget, and it's not just like, a line item here and there. So we're going to break some of that down for you when we see the budget after it's presented. And you can also go see it, as been mentioned. You can go to the county website at mymanatee.org. You can go to the financial management department, and you can start to watch for the budget presentation and for the items to pop up, and that amazing capital improvement plan that you both talked about. That's about 1,200 pages. But yeah, fun to follow, to see what might be coming up in your neighborhood. So anything else you want to add before we move away and let our audience know that we'll be coming back with some specific topics in the future, or any that you guys have already identified will be important to bring back in individual episodes?
Yeah, that's great. I would just remind everybody, please go to YouTube and subscribe to our channel, The Big Picture Manatee. You can also like us there and take it one step further. Share these episodes with your friends and neighbors. We're trying to get the word out, and we want people to be excited about their county government and to take part in it so that we can all make it the best place it can be.
Yeah, and I share that same excitement. We came out on a news break a few days ago, and I was very, very excited talking about the big picture manatee and some of the topics that we've covered here. But please make sure you all remember that we own multiple podcast forecasts, like the news break, and many of your other favorites. The big picture manatee, we can't wait to come back, follow up on this year's budget with all that's going on. See you soon.
Cool. See you all later.
Yeah, take care.